You have to see this. If you are having trouble understanding the difference between Tevilah and baptism, let's dive in. The Jewish Tevilah is a purification ritual that involves immersing in water. It's used for various occasions, from converting to Judaism to preparing for holidays. Think of it like a spiritual cleansing for different life events. Now, Christian baptism, on the other hand, is usually a one-time event. It's a ritual that symbolizes the believer's faith and their entry into the Christian community. So why the difference? In Judaism, Tevilah is part of daily and seasonal life, helping to maintain spiritual purity. Meanwhile, in Christianity, baptism marks a significant commitment, often a once-in-a-lifetime event. Both rituals share the element of water but play unique roles in their respective religions. This book aims to teach you correctly, not traditionally, and certainly not with the unification of religions made by men, which the world has received from the Catholic organization. It's fascinating to see how these traditions, though rooted in similar origins, have evolved differently over time. That is why it is very important to get to know and understand the biblical Hebrew rituals that came to Moses directly from Yahweh. Although sometimes millions of people who consider themselves Christians and evangelicals are very wrong, as they mostly consider biblical rituals unnecessary and they teach people to continue being Catholic and traditionalist. That is why they do not see and do not understand the very important meaning of the teaching that Yahushua left us when he himself was immersed in the river whose currents are alive. Of course, one of the most important teachings is immersion in water, despite being lost. Not because we do not investigate this great spiritual meaning enough, but because everyone follows the wrong traditions, which were dragged from Catholicism by Martin Luther. According to the Holy Scriptures, there are different immersions for different reasons and purposes. In the New Testament, Rabbi Shaul tries to give us his point of view on water immersion, but it is misunderstood in churches because they use traditionalism. Therefore, leaving behind the elementary teachings about the Messiah, let us continue on toward maturity, not laying again the foundation of turning away from dead works and faith in God, instruction about baptisms, laying on of hands, resurrection of the dead, and eternal judgment. Hebrews 6, 1-2 Rabbi Shaul is stating that the elementary teachings of the Messiah for us are step by step, and therefore we must understand that they are deeper and more spiritual than what we literally understand. The foundation is in Yahushua, of repentance for what leads us to be sinners and leads us to death. Have faith in the Messiah who gave his life for us, to open the door for us, to teach us the way to Yahweh and make us members of his body. Despite the fact that there are perhaps hundreds of different wrong ways to do water immersion, and these are not based on the sacred doctrine that Moses and later Yahushua taught us. The Holy Scriptures speak to us of different classes of immersions which are misunderstood as the only baptism. Laying on of hands is another Hebrew ritual that has been terribly misinterpreted. The resurrection from the dead, which will happen physically when the Lord returns for his congregation, even though one is literally resurrected through immersion. The eternal and final judgment is another misinterpreted controversy, despite these points being considered important by Rabbi Shaul, but they are still elementary if one does not examine their spiritually important meanings. If we can understand the teachings on an elementary level, like babies who first learn to sit, then crawl, and then walk, learning the same lessons on different levels. So if we have already understood these things elementally, you are ready to go up and understand the terms from a spiritual point of view and start receiving from the meat, which means milk. And then start with the deep, that are spiritually sweet as honey, that satisfy the soul and enrich the spirit. The doctrine of inner and outer immersion are two different steps because they are of water and ruach, that is, fire. Flaminis et fluinis is a washing of regeneration and renewal in the Ruach HaKodesh. It is to be born again symbolically. It is to return to being innocent of sins like a baby and to be rejuvenated with an eagle. Do you want to know the truth about the Tevilah in water and fire? Are you curious to learn more? Hit the like button and subscribe for more interesting information.